Hello everyone out there. Hopefully everything can be heard fine. I'm anticipating this, though I'm also kind of concerned because I know that the previous game had a New Game Plus and I'm imagining this one hopefully should. It'd be weird if it didn't. But if it does, I've kind of just come to the preemptive conclusion that I'll just not stream the first 4 chapters on New Game Plus and then start streaming from the cut-off point of wherever these other routes are. Because I'm going to be starting with my Black Eagle save and progress forward from there when the full game releases. Well, let's see how fun these characters are to use. I came to the realization last time that I cannot change these units during this, so I'll just start. And hello, welcome.
We'll put the bandits to rout. Follow me.
I still find it weird that Yuritsa joins us for this, but hey, whatever. It just is what it be, I guess.
Huh? Hey, we got intruders.
Here comes whoever they are. Looks like we'll have to fight our way out of this.
Fugel's really good. This tornado's so good for making things lower their guard. Get rid. So, less than 12 minutes, 600 enemies, and less than 5%. Yeah, I can manage that.
That was something. Moving on.
Not that I really need to worry about it.
So this is what real battle is like.
Now we know who to kill to open the gate.
Oi,
Proceed as planned.
you are kinda useless against these enemies, I'm not gonna lie.
We must strive to
I'll do my best.
Yeah,
I'm a
sure.
little nervous about this.
Game, I know. Nothing to do. Literally some of the boring of the blue lines. Yep. I don't like it when they force. Like, we have all the other characters at our disposal. They're just like, here are the ones you don't want, right? Also, I'm wondering when weapon durability is going to become a factor for some of these, because I've not had an issue with weapon durability at all during the other save. So, is it just something that gradually reduces during battles, or and doesn't actually have a permanent impact? Because I assumed that weapons would break, but
secure the
I still stand by the idea, and I felt this way in the main game, the idea of, you know, the relic weapons or sacred weapons being able to break is really fucking dumb. Just like, yeah, here's some legendary arms.
Proceed as planned.
You get limited uses of them.
We must
Have
strive
fun
to
with that.
perform to the best of
And
our
the ore that's used to repair the relic weapon specifically is a pain in the ass to get.
Do my best.
So you really basically don't want to use them unless you're on like the big bosses that you can't deal with without relic weapons, which is rarely any. I think I mainly use them for final bosses, and that's like really sad because that cuts out a lot of their use time. Do you use weapon? It's just to do with combat arts. Sweet, perfect. So it really is something I don't need to care about. That works for me
This place is
just
bigger than
fine.
I thought. Split up.
I pray they find peace in the grave.
Because there's mentions of being able to upgrade weapons with a blacksmith, but there's no function for that yet for me. Even after upgrading certain things within the other save, it didn't seem like I was able to play around with that.
We'll need to find the key.
I can get it open without one if you want. I'm not exactly proud of that. secret.
Yep. I'm all for you using that skill. Go.
Let's move.
I like free stuff. Go.
We will proceed as planned. We must strive to perform to...
Let's begin. I will be your shield.
I was all ready to grab a nice haul from that chest, and now those intruders are all over the thing.
I know who has the key.
I don't need to. They've literally just told me Ash can do it without. Screw them. There we go. Problem solved. Now.
I'll do my best.
You can sort your own shit.
I'll back them up.
Now. I'm gonna kill this asshole. Not interested in you. Mine.
It's an old structure, but very well built. These ruffians are lucky to have such a perfect hideout.
Black Eagles are pretty good all around. Yeah. I'm wondering if Elle is going to be the most powerful unit in this game like she was in the original, since her weapon was part of what made her so good. And she doesn't have armor anymore. But at the same time, both of her crests are really good. Especially, obviously, Crest of Flames. Crest of Flames, universally, is just really fucking good. So she's got a number of like facets to her character that make her really powerful in game. The weapon being one, but the crests that she has are another contribution towards that. Having dual crests automatically puts her as having an advantage of others. Black Eagles are pretty good all around. Oh, you meant the characters. Yeah, both. I'd say both. I'd say the outliers to what I find good or not. It's like I think some characters are weaker than others, but I think they're all good. I'd say it has its definite highlights, and that it has its simps now. More than one. Because before it was just the one at least. Now there's two of them, and one of each gender for poor Elle.
This mission has got made.
Gotta keep aiming higher.
Yep. So to be fair, I'm not particularly worried about reaching S
Taking
rank
control
here.
of the fortress. Now, let us have a look around.
Search the basement. Something is amiss. We will proceed as planned.
So the way they were last time was a monster ended up being summoned, so there's no point in sending Dimitri down there. I'd rather have him passively murdering things up top.
We must...
Bring it, bitch.
Hey, there's a prisoner down
And there she
here.
is.
She looks like an academy student.
And contextually, it makes some amount of sense that she'd be kidnapped in a way. I'd honestly disagree on Blue Lions having the weakest cast. This game had them be very easy to connect with. I'd say it has more its bad members are awkward to communicate with. I wouldn't say they're bad in like an actual sense of they're bad, but I think they have some members that are less developed than other members of other houses who just have more to them. But I think that the likable members of Blue Lines are like some of the most likable characters in the entire game. Like Dimitri, incredibly likable, my favourite male character in the game. So much depth. Felix, really great as well. I was gonna say good and great and it just kind of merged. Sylvain, amusement. Chaotic amusement. Ingrid, hit and miss depending on what you view the character as, because obviously the racist aspect to it knocks a lot of people off. There's a reason it exists and it is an issue. It's the way the game's approaching a social issue in its concept in a realistic manner, and it does end up fixing when you have her and Dedue have a support, but it does affect how much people like her, and I can see why. I hate people's stupid comments about her design though. So, meanwhile, I'd say that that isn't only an issue for Blue Lines, and if anything, I think that issue is actually more prevalent in some of Golden Deer's cast than Blue Lines is. I'd say that it has some really amazing characters, and then it also has some really kind of less relevant ones, but still charming. It's hit and miss. Like, I think Leonie is the worst character in the cast. I also think she's kind of creepy as fuck, considering her adult design has Geralt's symbol on her panties, but, well, her adult design from the original game, that does. And if you don't believe me, you can find it. Look online, you will find it, and it's still fucking weird. But
Here to rescue me?
Are you all right? What are you doing here? Never mind. We can discuss that later.
Thank you for saving me.
you're welcome, simp.
Don't let the girl escape, or Krania will make us wish we were dead.
No worries. We can handle her.
It's not safe here. We must take the girl and run.
Yeah, exactly. Lysithea, Marianne, and Hilda, the best characters in Golden Deer's cast, as far as I'm concerned as well. Simp versus murderer, which would you rather have? The fact Edelgard and Monica / Kronia seem to be so friendly in the base game is explained by the real Monica's personality here. Kind of. Because in my mind I kind of feel that since they've now shown how aware Edelgard was that Monica could end up dead, and why she was in such a rush to save her, it's like we save Monica / Kronia, I think at a later point chronologically than we do here, if I remember correctly. I'd have to go back and check the dates for it, but it's only 2 weeks from joining the academy here that we actually save the real Monica, and it seems like we were just in time for saving her. They've explained the reason why Monica was kind of kidnapped in the first place based on, yeah, exactly, much later chronologically. I thought so, I just didn't want to absolutely narrow it down as an end of all, because to me it feels like it takes a lot longer, but at the same time, Freehouse's original gameplay, going manually through each day and planning your time accordingly, it felt longer because of the way the gameplay was. So chronologically in game, it could have been not that far apart, and it would have just felt long for me anyway. Not in a bad way, just was covering my fences there. But it makes sense why here they've kind of made a weird hole in a way, because obviously Edelgard was concerned about the fact that Monica was like really in a bad predicament, and yet here, and we save her here. Meanwhile, in the other game, she was aware of Monica's position potentially, chose not to equally try and save her, and instead hired bandits to try and kill the other heads of houses to get rid of political enemies for the future, and then eventually came to save Monica then. She had to be aware it wasn't the real one, because it's like months after. Why would they keep her any longer? It doesn't feel like the Agarthans had much purpose from it beyond her beyond some kind of crest research. Because her crest kind of makes it significant on why they kidnapped her at all. Because who else ends up kidnapped? Flynn, who is carrying a crest of a saint. They might not know it's Cephaline, but they knew she had the crest of Cephaline and kidnapped her for that reason. This character, Monica, crest of Macuel, another saint. Yeah, exactly. That's precisely what they did, and it makes sense why they did it. It feels like they were probably done with their research and had no need for it to be alive anymore. It's like once you've extended your usefulness, you're just a liability, and returning you back leaves a loose thread. Killer. Okay, you two, I don't need you messing around with that one. So the aim is just to clear up this idiot and then have this one rooted as well. This boy's just going for whatever he feels like.
After the girl. Well, we shook this hornet's nest, so it's on us to keep her safe.
Meh. Game. Fuck off.
Let's hurry up and get rid of them.
Chance to give him a slap. More bandits that eluded us. Leave none alive.
It's weird, but at the same time, I do like that we're getting to see the real Monica here. Yeah, I agree. Just, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's a bad decision. All I'm saying is, in the original game, I don't think she was overly close to Monica there, thinking it was the real one. I think that in the original game, she was pretty damn sure it wasn't. Or at least had to have a suspicion over it. I don't think she fully trusted quote-unquote Monica in Free Houses, thinking it was legitimate. Because this game shows how aware she was of Monica's, the real Monica's predicament. Take care.
That should.
Sorry I'm slowing you down.
You should be.
Still a little wobbly at the moment.
The question is, are her legs wobbly because she's not been walking on them, or because she's drained of blood? Because it could just as easily be either of those.
More are coming. These are no mere bandits.
Trust me, I know they're not. No game. This fucker. just do this. But I do like how quickly they're going to address a lot of the plot when it comes to free houses that took half of the game to kind of
That should
reach.
do it. Hurry.
It's like Solon's out of the way pretty damn quickly, but he's alive as a loose thread, so we'll potentially be fighting him later. Same goes for bloody... I want to say... it fails. I was going to say Arundel, but...
I mean, I hope we are at least.
Nope, your words are cursed.
Who came in here and trashed my beautiful stronghold?
Hi.
Hi there. I'm Kranya, but you can just call me the lady that's about to murder you. Or, you know, don't.
It's her. So be it. Kill her.
Game, stop interrupting me.
We will
Boys, why the
proceed as
fuck are you
planned.
over there?
We must strive.
If you've got any pretty last words lined up, now would be the time. Not that I'm going to pay attention. You're not going anywhere, Monica. I have something very special planned for you.
The Garthans seem like they'll likely get some expansion later on, especially with Shez's whole deal. Well, Shez seems to likely be a test tube baby, essentially. If we see... At the very, very beginning of the game, just before we get the cutscene before... well, the cutscene of the War of Liberation with Nemesis, we see being in a kind of area of sorts that looks like Shambhala while within a section filled with water, which is likely the same sorts of tube thing that we see Nemesis break out of. Meaning, either Shez or Arvel are remembering that, so depending on whose it is, implies very specific things for either of those characters. If it's Arvel's memory, then it just implies that he was potentially preserved and saved. If it's Shez's, then it implies he's created or been experimented on to have this connection with Arvel that we see now. So I think that we're going to end up getting a highlight on the connection between Shez/Arvel and the other Garthans. Someone's probably aware of who Arvel is, because we actually see Arvel in the cutscene of the war. And we know for pretty much sure that it can only be Arvel, because we've not seen any other Garthan possess that power to kind of summon aspects of dragon bones on near their bodies. And the character wielded the exact same relic weapon sword that we see Shez using. And we know that power is connected to Arvel, not something Shez initially had. Meanwhile, another thing that I'm hoping the game is going to be very thorough on addressing is Surface herself, because there are still limitations behind what we understand about Surface, and now that we have the Agarthan perspective, I want to know everything. And we see other things within the game alluding to things about Surface, like the reward for the achievements that I pointed out last stream and the stream before, mentioning the retinue of the goddess and how some of them were there were people selected by her capable of transformations. interesting. I want to see adult surface, I want to see the dragon surface, and I want to see exactly what entailed within her connection with the Agarthans and what she led them to. And precisely what she is, because they see her as a blight, but it's very, very likely that at minimum she created the landscape of Fodlan. At max, she could have actually created this world in game. Or more. It's like the title of Progenitor God is either referring to her creative powers as a whole, or she could have been referred to that because she is the progenitor of all of the things that her children are familiar with. It kind of depends on your perspective on what exactly she is responsible for, but we know that the one set of powers they thought would be capable of defeating her, which was the usage of the Darkness of Zaharas, didn't do shit. We know that she can smite over that because we see it happen in the original game. I kind of want this game to be a result of Byleth having, or at least Surface having already seen the outcomes of the real roots of the original game and being like, okay, fine, I'll reverse time even further. Let's try and get a better ending. And then just by chance, Shez ended up like this variable that switched on. It's like, okay, now we've got to deal with this little asshole. Because in the trailer she mentions killing the whelp, and clearly she does not seem thrilled about it either. She also has a voice line saying that she's not going to answer all we ask. Which is valid.
You asked for it. Release the creature we captured.
Hi!
Some sort of beast. Get ready, everyone. We have to take it down. I've awaited this.
I want to play as Dimitri for this. No, don't care. I know these details. Let me go.
Force. You'll never defeat it alone.
All the
Game!
numbers in the world won't save you. I am here to aid you.
This is going to be a long fight.
I wanted to dodge then, game. That's fucking rude.
Its strength fades. Don't let up.
There we go. That was nice and effective, Dimitri.
Defeated a demonic beast? Impossible! Talus isn't going to like this at all. You'll pay for this. You'll all pay.
These names are wholly unfamiliar to me. But at least we won the day.
Indeed. Might still find it strange that, you know... Oh, I managed to get S rank without trying. Works for me. Deal. The thing is, I'm gonna have to redo probably a lot of this content if there's New Game Plus. Oh well, it'll be fine.
I won't let myself stop here. Gotta keep aiming higher.
That wasn't the best level up, I won't lie.
Hey, new power.
I can't wait. I'm getting...
We should be safe here for the time being.
Indeed.
I'm well acquainted with Professor Yuritsa. But the rest of you are this year's Blue Lions, I presume?
Yes, but at the same time, I still find it strange that, you know, this class even interacts with you, because I think that Yuritsa would have to have canonically joined with the Black Eagle students and would have had Edelgard handle this matter because it's related to her planning.
That's correct. But if I may, how did you come to be wearing our uniform?
Already a student.
Also, how do you know Professor Yuritsa? Were you enrolled at the Officers Academy?
She's one of last year's students. A Black Eagle.
That would make you our senior, but what are you doing in a place like this?
Don't worry about that.
Well, I was just on the verge of graduation last year when I was kidnapped by the strangest people. In truth, I thought I'd never breathe fresh air again. Thank you for coming when you did. Oh, where are my manners? I'm Monica von Ox, eldest daughter of the Empire's Baron Ox.